So y'all learned something new today? Alright. Let me know when you're ready. So we're just recording the moment because the moment lasts longer than us. That makes sense? So anyone that is not here today at least get to still see what happened and understand a little bit more about what's going on. So my name is Siobhan Riley. I'm the president of the Black Alumni Network. And today we have our Elevate Black event, which is the aim for this event is to provide the guidance to students that look like yourself to be able to see individuals that look like you successfully finish their studies. We're here for yourself, students like yourself, to be able to find purpose, to be able to navigate through the UTSC ecosystem, and hopefully be able to find somebody among yourself here today that you can relate with and hold hands with through this long journey. I don't know about y'all, but Habib One was one of the brethrens that I was at UTSC with from first year, second year, all the way till the end. And if he wasn't there, then I don't know if it would have been the same experience for me. So just having a space like this, making friends, finding people that you can connect with goes a long way. Today, we hope that the information that you get from the event is something that can show some highlight and some tips and some trade that can save a couple years. Hopefully, you can take some courses just before you graduate that could benefit you when you leave here and be able to capitalize on the resources that are available to you here at UTSC. And even talking about resources, want to talk about the hub, or I should say Cecile, also known as the Sam Ibrahim Center. So they've got rebranded. And this space, they're one of the partners for the event today. They provided the space, they provided the equipment. This is probably like over $10,000 worth of equipment that's available. And any one of you can come here and use these resources because the institution is open to UTSC students and the community. So it's knowing about having access to spaces like this that provide innovation. The Sam Ibrahim Center is the building, as you know, big building that just got created that's across the EV, the environmental science, environmental physical science, I believe, building. It's right across. They're there for entrepreneurship, innovation, and then you know the medical building is coming up soon. So Scarborough has the hub for all the excellence that are going on into the city. So you're all a part of the greatness that are happening in this time, 2024. So if, for me, I started my company called Norm, Natural Organic Matters, through Cecile. At the time it was called the Hub. And I didn't know anything about business. I'm a chemist, I specialize in chemistry. And with the help of Gray and Donovan, I was able to have one-on-one consultation with them to be able to grow my business and dominate the cosmetic space. Because, we like to keep people them moist and, keep them skin up to par, especially in the wet winter season. So if it wasn't for a place like this, I wouldn't be able to have the business that I have today that I run full time. Does that make sense? All right. So that's Cecile, and I want to welcome Olivia, who is one of our executive team. She is a community partner, or I should say community engagement officer for the Black Alumni Network. So welcome, Olivia.
Hi, everyone.
So Olivia is going to be doing the land acknowledgement.
Yes. So, okay, all good. Okay, so hi, everyone. So I want to start off with the land acknowledgement to introduce and have us understand the land that we're sitting on, right? So we wish to acknowledge this land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, this meeting place is still home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we're grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. Okay, so I just wanted to start with that being the premise of where we are before we get into our full discussion.
Thank you, Olivia. Alright. So, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to give you a quick update on what the UTSC Black Alumni Network does in terms of our mission and vision statement. Alright. So the UTSC Black Alumni Network is committed to fostering a vibrant community that empowers, uplifts, and celebrates the achievements and contributions of UTSC Black alumni. Our mission is to develop a strong network that promotes professional and personal growth for UTSC Black alum community and encourage Black alumni to remain connected and involved with UTSC and provide guidance and support to Black UTSC students as they transition from students to alumni. Working in partnership with UTSC Development and Alumni Relationship Officer, Daro, we strive to cultivate connections, forge and nurture meaningful relationships among Black alumni, creating a supportive environment that encourages networking, mentorship, and collaboration. Support student success. Provide mentorship and fundraising for scholarships that empower Black students to excel academically, professionally, and personally, ensuring that they have the tools they need to strive. Drive equity and inclusion. Advocate for more diverse, equitable, and inclusive campus and community by collaborating with university leaders to effect positive change. Celebrate culture. Embrace and celebrate the diversity of Black cultures through events, programs, and initiatives that promote cultural awareness, understanding, and appreciation. So that's what we are here. We're here to create a space for students that look like yourself. When you do leave the great community from the Black student engagement, you're not just out there by yourself. You also have a family that you are welcome to, which is the Black Alumni Network. And it is for the alumni that identify as Black that have already left the institution at a time where they didn't have advantage of the Black student engagement like you all have today, that would like to still form that community for either the students that are coming out and for the alumni that are already out to come back and be able to relate. So some individuals might not have seen anyone familiar as alumni that have left until they came back here today and found out that some of them graduated within the same year. But because the campus is so big, it's easy for you to lose yourself within the campus. So that's why we want to have that culture here where whether we're keeping events, we're having an event like this that we hope to have once a year, and we can come together, find out what is needed for the community, and come together and contribute towards that. And an example of that is the scholarship fund that we did started that's called Milestone Awards, that we give $2,500 to a student that's in their final year that identifies Black to help towards their education or just food or whatever they need the money for. That's something that we got started and we committed to that for 5 years. So somebody will be receiving that scholarship this year. So if you didn't know about it, I don't know if it's too late to apply, but hopefully you apply to it whenever you get the chance, and hopefully next year, if you didn't get it and you're in your final year, you can try applying for it then. But we hope to grow something as small as $2,500 to maybe $2,500,000 by everyone that can contribute to this scholarship program so that it can make the life of that one student better. Because I don't know about y'all, but when I was going to school, I didn't have money, right? And maybe it was ramen noodles, maybe it was Timbits, maybe whatever it was to get through the studies. That's what I needed to get through. Whether that's rent, that I had to figure out how the rent is going to balance out for those 4 or 5 months. Whatever the challenges are, anything helps. So that's why we want to be able to create that financial help and create that community where you're not alone and connect the resources that you might not have known about. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right. So what we're going to do is jump into the panel and welcome our panelists. So, our first panelist. And there's food, so hopefully y'all not too hungry too long. But we'll definitely, once we get the chance to get y'all fed, we'll definitely do that. Did I miss something?
Hi, no. So since you're on the panel,
Yeah.
we're just coming here to introduce the rest of the panelists so that you can join in right here.
So you're telling me to get off?
No.
Okay,
Go stay with
Oh, so we're talking about me.
You don't introduce. He
So
has already introduced himself.
Yes.
We are introducing the other panelists for them to be able to come and join.
Okay, no problem. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, so Melissa Ellis is a technology professional, community leader, and founder and CEO of Nobellum, a female-led social and technology enterprise with a mandate to support the startup of at least 100 Black-owned businesses in STEM by 2025. As a proud alumnus of the University of Toronto Scarborough, Melissa joined forces with her home campus to launch a fund to provide access to capital to fund and train early-stage Black innovators to develop sustainable businesses. Melissa is poised to empower the next wave of Black innovators by providing them with opportunities to hone their skills, raise capital, and strategize for socioeconomic development.
Okay. So next, we are introducing Lodge. Okay. Okay. So you are well known. Yulaj is a fourth-year student, right?
There you go.
At UTSC in the Management and Finance program. He previously served as co-president of the Black Students in Business Club and recently worked as an investment banking summer analyst at Scotiabank. Right? Through his involvement, he has developed a strong passion for student mentorship and supporting them in pursuit of job opportunities in the business space. Welcome.
All right. Shaquille Gale. All right. Is the founder and CEO of SJG Workplace Consulting and Investigations Incorporated, and has been actively conducting workplace investigations pertaining to harassment, sexual harassment, workplace violence, discrimination, and human rights over the past 5 years. He has an extensive amount of experience conducting legally defensible and trauma-informed harassment, violence, and human rights investigations for various public, private, and not-for-profit organizations, and has conducted over 100 investigations under both provincial and federal legislation pertaining to harassment and violence prevention in the workplace.
We also have Anais. Welcome.
Yes.
Yes. You can have a seat.
Yeah.
All right. Anais, strategy and policy coordinator, management and consulting. What's this? Santis Health? That's what you said? All right, yeah, getting close. All right, cool. Anais is a coordinator in the Santis Health Management Consulting Service area. In this role, Anais assists Santis Health strategy and policy team by providing services in research, policies, analysis, and project management for Anais Santis range of clients. prior to joining Santis, Anais, the names are so close. Worked as a policy analyst for the city of Toronto in consular. Chris Moy, yo, I don't know. This is difficult. It's all good. It's all good. I'll work through Chris' office. In this role, Anna is partnered with the city's social development, finance, and administration committee. Deeply passionate about community health and health equity, Anais has also worked as a research assistant for 4 years at the University of Toronto, undertaking diverse research projects with hospitals such as Mount Sinai and Ontario Health. This included leading the Safe Hands Health Heart COVID-19 mental health support initiative in partnership with Women's College Hospital and leading research for an ongoing HIV intensive care management program in the GTA. Cool, no man. Big up yourself. All right. We're good?
Okay, yes, we are just stepping on.
Nikki, don't want to stay up here?
No.
All right, cool. So, here to start the things then. So we're gonna start off with so for a little bit more context on the panelists, we have 2 senior alum, which is Mel and Shaquille, and then we have 1 recent alum, which is Anais, and a to-be alum, which is Yulon, to give that diverse range so that you can see what's going on. Does that make sense? So we're going to start off with the season alums. So let's start off with Mel. Looking at your career that you're in right now, Mel, can you share a pivotal moment in your career that significantly influenced your professional
trajectory? Moment in my career. I guess I'll start by kind of asking how many are current students, if I can just get a show of hands. How many are alumni? Okay. All right. Well, that's helpful to know so as I frame my answers. There were a couple pivotal moments in my career. It was not a straight path. I started, as you can see, I started off my career as a student in history with a minor in law. And then I went into project management. Then from project management, I went into software engineering. And then after software engineering, I'm now a social impact investor, where I provide access to capital and training and resources for Black entrepreneurs. Is that what a history student does? No, especially a history student who's terrified of math. Never thought I'd be somebody that was on the other end of STEM. But a couple of things happened while in university. Totally got scammed into multi-level marketing. Anybody know what multi-level marketing is? It's basically when they're like, oh, you can own a company, and then like you recruit a bunch of people, but then you never really get paid for your work. But it opened my eyes to what business was. Before that, I thought business was you needed a $500,000 business loan in order to open up a KFC franchise, right? Like I didn't know that it was possible to actually stay in your house, build a business plan, and start. Like I thought that, like I just thought only millionaires could be business owners. That changed my perspective. Obviously, I didn't become a millionaire with the multi-level marketing company as I planned to, but I did go across 4 countries and recruit over 400 people from Germany, England, all over the place. And so I learned certain skill sets about myself. Moving on to that, another huge trajectory was when I was working in project management. And this was back before working from home was even a thing. And I remember managing one of the largest acquisitions that happened in Canada when Loblaws bought Shoppers Drug Mart. And we had to take out all the tech that Shoppers had and replace it with Loblaws tech. And I was running these projects all over the country. My tech guys, I was like, they were building like hotels, car rentals, And I'm like, this is great. How comes I'm their project manager and I need to sign off on their paperwork, but I'm stuck in this office? And they're out living their best life. I'm seeing restaurant meal tickets coming in. I'm like, signing off on all their food. And I was like, I think I would want to try working from home and seeing what that's like. But I only saw what they were doing in tech. So I looked into tech, and that actually transitioned my mentality and my perspective into software engineering. So I quit my project management job at the age of 25, and went back to school full time for software development and network engineering. And I made a decision in that moment that I was gonna choose my career based on the lifestyle that I wanted, and not based on how I felt in that moment. Because I don't know about you guys and how you picked these courses, but I picked history because I didn't know my background and my history, and I wanted to fill those gaps. And so those, I think, are two really pivotal moments. One made me realize I could be a business owner, and another made me realize these career options that I did not even consider, like tech, like software engineering, were very well suited for my personality, but I'd never thought to explore them because I didn't know anyone doing tech. It was like the furthest thing away from me. But then when I started working with tech guys, I'm like, this is not that hard, I can do it. And I turned out to be able to use a lot of my creative skill sets in tech because you get to build really creative things. So those are two really interesting trajectories that kind of pivoted me in a whole other direction.
Okay, and thank you for sharing. And where are you now?
Where am I now? I am in Scarborough. Do they still do that? Where do we come from? UTSC. Wow! So you guys don't know? What? Wow. Okay, do you want to do it and give them a little UTSC history?
UTSC history.
We
What's
have
the
a
history?
chance.
What's the history?
Okay, where do we come from?
UTSC.
Where do we come from?
UTSC.
Where do we come from?
UTSC.
And where is that Scarborough?
So y'all learned something new today?
That's like bled into my skin.
Thank you for sharing, Mel. We appreciate that, and we have that down. Shaq. One team. Shaq. Yes. My question to you is, what were some of the major challenges you faced as a black professional, and how did you overcome them?
Okay, so hi everyone. For me, I think one of the major challenges I had as a black professional, especially coming out of university and being in the spaces that I was in, is that I was usually like the only black person that was in the space, and I was usually the youngest person that was in the space, and I think one of the issues with that, like for me, I carried that with pride to say that I'm in a privileged position to be where I'm at, whatever space I was, but I felt like at the same time, because you're young, because you're someone that's maybe not in the clique or not in the group, people would overlook me sometimes, or they'd underestimate what I could do. And you really had to kind of show people that you belong to be there, as opposed to some people where that was just given to them. So that was something that I say was tough for me, but how I overcame that was really just locking in, embracing kind of where you are, and knowing, like, in any space that I'm in, I really like to try to position myself in a way where I can bring others with me, or knock open a door so that other people who look like me, who want to do the work that I'm doing, can say, yeah, I can do that too. I know a lot of people, whether it's friends or family, depending on where I've worked, and I can use, I think the most obvious one was my first job in workplace investigations. It was actually with the National Defense. And at the time I got the job, I think I was like 25 or 26. and I think the oldest person after me would have been like 35, and everyone else was older than that, and everyone was essentially white. And I came in there with really not much investigative experience at all, compared to those folks who have been doing investigations for years for different departments or different organizations. So there I was really self-conscious about where I was, and even the spaces where I would work. Spaces. So for me, I was like, I want to show that I can do this, and also be a voice or promote this type of career to others who may not know this is something that can produce on my career. So doing that was really just locking into the craft, really getting to know what or how to do the job, and being the best at it, and not like making people assume that you may not know what you're doing or talk down to you. Being confident, being outspoken in what I was doing as well. If I didn't agree with something, if I had an idea, I was never afraid to share that idea. And I think that really helped not only the leaders see what I could do, but also my peers. So I became someone who was just a young kid, just happy to be here, to people actually coming to me to say, like, hey, how do I do this? Hey, can you help me with this investigation that I'm doing? Hey, do you have a template that I can use to help my process be better? And they were coming to me as a leader. So my advice would really be, for people, students who are now, whether you're here, whether you're leaving, or you're going to be entering this space, just really lock into what you're doing. Obviously, there's going to be those situations where you might have imposter syndrome, or you might feel like you don't belong here, or you might be getting feelings from others that you don't belong there. I would say try your best to don't really focus on the noise. It's something that you have to do, and just remember that whatever position you're in now, it's training you, or you're gaining skills to be able to elevate you to that next level when it is your turn to move up. So that's my advice and kind of my story when it comes to stuff like that.
Thank you for sharing. So you're like an undercover agent?
No, I don't do any undercover type of work. I do investigations into harassment, discrimination, things like that. So they know I'm coming. And usually they're under P's and Q's, but yeah, no undercover work for me.
Alright, cool. Now, to take a little lens in terms of a recent alum, Anais, I would like to know, where were some of the unexpected challenges that you faced when transitioning from student life to like professional career?
Hello, everyone. It's funny because I was listening to Shaq's advice and everything was kind of resonating with me because I only just started my position. I graduated this June, and then I started literally, thank you, and pretty much started working 5 days after. So transition was non-existent. Let's put it that way. In terms of challenges, I would say that when you're a student, especially at U of T, it's a very big school. For me, I transferred to the downtown campus, and it's even bigger. So it's like you're very much viewed as a number in the midst of like thousands of people, and you have to put yourself out there to make yourself visible to your peers, make yourself visible to your professors. So it's much harder to take that initiative if you're someone who's maybe shy, or you're really feeling that imposter syndrome and you're not seeing people who look like you. It's much harder to do that. And in the workplace, you don't have a choice. Like, you really don't have a choice. Similarly, I'm the youngest in my team, and pretty much in my company, I would say. That has come with a lot of, I don't like the word scrutiny, but it's like people do watch you a lot at work. Like, you have to pay attention to who's watching you, your team members. As much as people don't like to say it, it matters who likes you, because that's how you get ahead, that's how you get promoted, that's how you get, salary increase, whatever the case. It really matters to not be shy. And at school, you can get away with that. You can glide through the 4 years and not even worry about anyone liking you, not worry about talking to anyone. But at work, you really don't have that choice. And I think something that's also challenging that I realized was the pace. A 9 to 5 is very different from having assignments and having the flexibility of working on your assignments on the weekend or whatever. And being a perfectionist and like taking your time to edit things and whatever. And in my space in consulting, you can have a turnaround time of like, get something on a Friday, a client needs it on Monday, you have to work on it on the weekend. And like the very tight deadlines is something that as a student you get more leeway with. You've got, things, about things ahead, you can plan. With consulting, you really don't have that luxury. And things really have to get done much, much quicker. And it's also about working with people who you don't necessarily agree with all the time. I think, taking to your example, something I've come to learn in my last 6 months there is that as much as I feel like I'm really young and I'm coming with less experience than most people, what's valuable in consulting is challenging what other people are saying, challenging what the client thinks they may need, and proposing those out-of-the-box ideas. And in school, when you're in the same program with the same people all the time, like let's say I did global health, like I was surrounded by global health students all the time. We all mostly thought the same, but at work that's not the case. People have different backgrounds and you have to adapt to that and really learn how to work differently and work with different people as well. So yeah, I'd say those are some of the challenges.
Okay, thanks for sharing. What would you say, how did your experience at UTSC prepare you for the workforce, particularly in terms of dealing with workplace diversity and inclusion? Yeah.
My first work study position at UTSC, I think to this day, was probably one of the most helpful things to get to where I am. I worked in the Academic Advising and Career Center as a work study student on Black student programs. And that was my first introduction to sort of project management and working on organizing and bringing people together. Prior to that in high school, I was always the biology and chemistry student, going to math school. This is my own interest. I do not see anything else in this life. And then I tried something new. And in that role, at UTSC especially in first year, because I was here during COVID, everyone around me was an international student. We were all Black. We really got to build a community that was uplifting. And to this day, these are my best friends. And I think that was a big part of like that aspect of like having people who looked like me around, really helping me get through undergrad. It's not the same right now. I am the only Black person on my team, and it's very difficult because when you come from a space like U of T or UTSC, as much as we don't see it, there's a lot of diversity, and there, like I know people in the downtown campus who are like, there's no Black people around. Like there really are, because when you get to the workplace, you're not going to see those people around all the time, and you have to just suck it up. Like that's what it is. You don't have a choice about the spaces you put yourself in. So yeah, that first experience with that work study role, I got to work hand in hand with Black students and with Black professors as well. And then from there, that led me to my first research position, then my co-op terms at Deloitte, at Lilly, and then eventually to my role here. So diversity is definitely something that when you get to the corporate world, it's not in all companies, but in my experience has been challenging to see. And you have to just remind yourself of the community outside of that. I lean a lot on my friends outside of work. And I also try, like I said before, to be friendly and to try, because it's hard not to when you don't see people who look like you and you don't know how to relate, but you don't have a choice at the end of the day, as sad as that sounds. But yeah.
So thank you for sharing. Boy, big man, soon to be grad. Talk to me. As you approach graduation, what are your aspirations, and how do you plan to leverage the network, UTSC Black Alumni Network, to achieve your goals?
Hi everyone, I'm Rose. Yeah, so to tackle your question, I'll take it from both a personal perspective and a professional perspective. I'd say professionally, I aspire to get into investment banking. While this is personal to me, the reason it's very special to me is because I came from Cameroon in 2021 and I was in the International Development Studies program. And so when I came in, I remember 2 weeks in, I knew I wanted to switch out and I didn't really know what to pivot into. But finance was always an interest of mine, so I ended up pivoting into finance, and I was able to meet an upper year student. His name was Orly, and from there he guided me throughout. He helped me find 2 internships I worked with, and through that, it's really special to me because it made me realize that there's no limitation to what space I can break into, especially finance. coming from Cameroon, not coming from a finance background, and just being guided by another Black individual that was in an upper year made me understand that there's really no limitation to what I can do after undergrad. And so from a personal perspective, one thing I aspire really is to become a mentor and get involved in more community. I think there's something so beautiful about being able to pass the torch to those below you, those who are navigating the same paths as you. The same way I came in, someone who believed in me, invested in me, I just really want to, recreate that for someone that's, in a lower grade than me, or just someone who is even at the same level as me, but is just looking for advice. So whether that be getting involved in the Black Alumni Network, getting involved in associations outside of school, I think mentorship is definitely something I've come to appreciate, and what I believe really got me through university. And I think it's one trait and one aspect that I think should not be overlooked in any way. So that's from a personal perspective. And then in terms of how I plan to leverage the alumni, number one, staying connected to the Black Alumni Network. I remember when Siobhan came and told me about the Black Alumni Network. I was really excited for it because we do have our associations like Novellum, where we do see Black alum, but I think to have a space where all of us can come together like this one and really talk and connect with everyone in different fields outside of that, I think it's very special. So I definitely plan to leverage the Black Alumni Network. And just the one final thing I would add is I think sometimes we don't understand the privilege we have as university students right now, that we have people like Melissa, we have people like Shaquille, and we have people like Siobhan who, they went through our path, right? I think to have people who went through our path, I think it's an immense privilege, and I think we really need to take advantage of that. And that's really the path where I want to go.
Cool, no man. I don't have anything else to ask you at this point. Well, if you could share how being a part of the UTSC community has shaped your perspective on diversity and inclusion, that would be great.
Yeah, for sure. I think I am in the management program, and as people who are in the management program know, there is a limited number of Black students. So, I remember I came in, and the majority of my class, it was predominantly Asian students. So you easily develop this lack of belonging. You feel like you don't belong in this space. You feel like, what am I doing here? Am I meant to be here? But I think what really pivoted my perspective on diversity and inclusion at UTSC was I ended up joining the Black Students in Business, and I think that was probably the best decision I made at university because joining the Black Students in Business, I was able to connect with students in my program and related programs that were also Black, that were like-minded, and number three, were ambitious. And I think when you can get Black people together who are equally as ambitious, it not only motivates you, but gives you the confidence to shoot for more. So I think that experience really made me understand that every department at university needs a space where, whether it's Black students, Asian students, can come together and share ideas. And I think that's where a lot of progress and growth can come in. So I think that's really what shaped my perspective on diversity.
Thank you. So just going back to close off with the season alums. Season song. So Mel, when we talk about mentorship, how has mentorship played a role in your career? And can you share an example of how a mentor helped you navigate your professional path?
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting because I think each of them in their own way touched on mentorship. And I think one of the things that, it sounds boring. Like when you hear the word mentorship, it's like, I have to go talk about my responsibilities and blah, blah, blah. But when you get to 30 plus and you need a mentor, you have to spend a lot of money. People end up booking therapy sessions with things. It's a form of mentorship, right? Consulting fees are like $3,000 an hour sometimes. So when you actually take into consideration the value that you're getting from a mentor at this point in your dollars down the road in potential consulting and therapy. So I want you to look at it from that perspective and how important and impactful that can be in your long-term journey. For me personally, I think that there's been a couple of people, quite a bit of mentors, but I would hone in on one particularly who really helped to pivot, really made a huge impact on me. Her name is Dr. Georgette Zanatti. She used to be actually a Doro. I met her accidentally on LinkedIn. I was looking for people to support me with the launch of my startup. And this woman did not know me from Adams. I had hit her up and a couple of other people. And in the process of chatting with her, she was like, sure, let's have a Zoom chat. I was like, really? Because everybody else ignored me. And she was like, yeah, of course, I'd love to hear more. And then when I started talking to her about the project, she started giving me advice on, think bigger. She started really pushing me to kind of look outside of the little box that I was looking at. And she carved out time to actually listen to my presentation. And then she was like, I think you need to chat with some of the senior executives at UTSC. And coming from as a student, I'm sure you're probably like, what senior executives? Because that was my thought. I was like, who do I even talk to? And she's like, don't worry, I'll make a couple of phone calls. And a couple of weeks later, I got an email from the principal of the university saying that they'd like to collaborate and potentially support in building out a fund for our nonprofit so that we can provide access to funding. And I'm happy to say we were able to grow that fund to about $200,000 to distribute award prizes to Black entrepreneurs. Woo! And so that came from someone who has now become like a really good mentor of mine, providing guidance and feedback on strategies, because sometimes you just don't know what you don't know, and it's hard for you to get access to spaces when you don't even know those spaces exist. You don't even know that these things are an option. I didn't know there was something called the True Blue Fund, right? And then I was able to take that knowledge and bring it to Siobhan and say, hey, we should do something like that for the scholarship program. And so it really is that opportunity of learning something, and like you, Lodge, said, right, passing that baton on. Because one of the things that really stood out when I was listening to you, and especially Anna, you surround the piece of like, when you leave university, you get a nice reality check. You guys have it very good. I'm telling you, it's one thing to go into a workplace and not be able to see people who look like you, but it's not as forgiving. You're in a very forgiving environment. This is the place to make mistakes and get it right. But once you go out there, they're not your friends. People are looking to meet their bottom line. These are large corporations. They have responsibilities. So when you are in this space, I really recommend make as many friends with people who are in positions to open doors, make mistakes in your space. But when you go out there, really prepare yourself, because you get fired really easily. People are not necessarily always going to be thinking about diversity, equity, and inclusion when they are reprimanding you for missing deadlines. Like Anna said, like as a consultant, you have to pivot, you have to shift. No one is going to come to you and be like, oh, do you feel like doing this project? 100%. They're not going to do that, right? And so you get a very safe environment here to really learn, grow, and stretch. Because when you go out into the real world, it is very cutthroat. And so just mentally preparing for that. And I just wanted to kind of underscore that. But having a mentor that can help guide you through those conversations is also going to be very helpful in helping you to even role play. How do I handle asking for a promotion? And role playing conversations are very helpful, especially when you're going into situations that you've never been in. And I've been able to do that with a couple of my mentors. So that's a strategy I also pass on.
Thank you. And I know I'm between you and the food, so I'm definitely going to make this short. Wrapping up right now. Shaq, take us home. Based on the feedback that Mel just gave about being resilient, what advice would you give to current students and recent grads about preserving through the adversity in their careers?
Yeah, thanks for the question. You know what? Like, I don't want to really give advice. I just want to talk about my story. But I think when it comes to any adverse situation that you're in, I kind of said it before I was answering the last question. But really, it's about mindset. And you know, you're in a situation. It is what it is. And it might be a situation that you're in for a long time, whether it's like a really crappy job that you're in, maybe you're just in a rut at school, whatever the case is. But really the mindset that helped me is to really understand that, you know, whatever I'm going through, there's something of value in it for me. I might not see it right now, but 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the line, what I'm going through right now is going to set me up for where I'm going to be in that time to be successful. So it's really about that mindset. It's not about when you're in an adverse situation to shy away or to give up. It's really at that time. That's when you need to lock in. That's the time to really put your feet down and do the work. Because whatever you're dealing with right now is going to get you to where you need to be. Not doesn't even have to even be like professional, like school. That can be like your personal life. I don't know if anyone's in like a love relationship, I don't know. But like, you know, you might be in that situation where you're having a tough time, maybe going through a breakup, maybe you just having issues at home with your family, like things like that. All those things are preparing you, whether it's just your skills or your interpersonal communication to help you in any situation, those transferable skills. So I would definitely say, like, when you're in those situations, really, really be present in them. And I know that's kind of tough. Like, when you're in a situation like that, you really want to just like, I don't want to be in this. You want to go through the motions and let it pass. But I would really challenge everyone to don't do that. Really lean into those situations because it is there to build your character. It is there to kind of make you a better person, make you a better professional, make you a better student. So I think that's what I would really, you know, it's one thing. It's something I really would hone in on, and it personally has helped me. Sometimes I'm just going through something, I'm like, I don't even know like why I'm going through this. I want to be a part of this. And now where I'm at now, I'm like, I needed that. If I didn't have that, I couldn't be doing what I'm doing now. So that's kind of what I really would want people to take home.
Well, thank you for sharing. We're just gonna have a few questions open to the audience. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question back here. Shaq, this is Shaquille.
No, Shaq's good.
So earlier you mentioned when you go into corporations and you do investigations that everyone is with a P's and Q's. And so what type of questions do you ask to uncover potential cases of abuse?
Oh, that's a good question. So to be honest, an interview, when I do an interview, it's not like the TV. It's not like a police interrogation where you're kind of going in. It's really a conversation. And you know, my technique when it comes to interviewing folks is to really get them comfortable. Get them comfortable with me, because when people start getting comfortable with you, they're going to just talk. And it's harder to kind of mask certain stuff when you're comfortable. So it's really just kind of, you know, I always start with talking about them, getting a little bit about them. Usually it's in the workplace, so getting to know, like, you know, what the relationship is to the workplace, what the relationship is with the person that maybe is involved in the complaint that I'm doing as well. And then after that, just saying, hey, like, tell me what happened, you know, and get time to go through that. Now, as an investigator, before you speak to someone, you already have kind of what the complaint is, and most of the time you already have a written response from the other individual. So you kind of know the gaps, and you kind of know what you're looking for. So my method is really just tell me what happened, and then when you tell me what happened, I'm still missing gaps. I'll then kind of, it's like what is it called, where it swirls and it kind of goes small and small. Thank you, the funnel. So you start like a funnel. You start really broad and keep it very casual, and you kind of swirl and get to the nitty gritty until you get to the kind of the questions or looking for the answers that you need. Sometimes you don't get it from that particular person. However, in an investigation, usually you're talking to witnesses and people that are around, so you can kind of say, okay, is this person credible or reliable, or if they're not, and that's kind of what you get through at the end of your investigation when you're doing your report and kind of assessing everyone. But really, it's just kind of general questions, just figuring out kind of their perspective on what happened, not doing any judgment at all. I just want to get their version, and then from there you can kind of start breaking down certain things.
You don't have a question?
Okay, so I was in office, so international advice. So like, if you explain more about like when you do international events and like how you have to get there.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like that's a long story. Like, if you're not hungry, I can go through it. But no. No, I can make it. Yeah, I can make it short. I can make it. Yeah.
Quick details after.
I won't get into how I got into it because it's a really long story. I will say it just took a lot. It was by fluke. I will say that. I wouldn't say it's by fluke. I would say God gave it to me. He really gave it to me. Again, I didn't even know that this thing was even, you can even do this and make money. Like, I had no idea that this was a career job. But with regards to my work at D&D, so I was a harassment investigator. So my role was basically to conduct an investigation on behalf of the unit commander of whatever it was, whether it was Navy, Army, Air Force. So if someone had a complaint in their unit, they would go to the commander and say, "I've been harassed." And then I won't get into all the steps, but basically the commander, if they deem that if what you're saying is true, it would be harassment, then they need to hire an investigator. Now, prior to kind of that unit being formed, a lot of that stuff is being done externally. So things like external investigators, lawyers, consultants were coming in, charging like thousands of dollars to do this thing, right? So internally, you can save a bit more money. I was part of that unit, so they would tap us and to say, "Hey, we have this case. Can you come and investigate on their behalf?" So I was essentially investigating prosecuting on behalf of unit commanders and then providing reports for them so they can then make a decision on how they're going to address the situation. So that was essentially it. No problem. And so if you want to talk more about that, I can talk about it forever. I love what I do, and how you want to get into it, but that's the gist.
All right. It seems like everybody wants to get to food right away, So yeah, we're still gonna be here. So just to wrap up, thank you all for sharing. Thanks for taking the time out to be here. Thank you for taking the time out to be here because you didn't have to, right? And I want to acknowledge the team. I want to even talk about DARO, Development Alumni Relationship Office, that is available to individuals like yourself that when you become alums, there's a space that is there for you. That's Tara over there, our number one supporter. Big up Tara! Right? And I want to big up the team, the executive team, Angelica. Out here capturing all the media. She and Fee has been responsible for getting all these media posts out, as you see here today, getting that communication. As you can see, they did a wonderful job getting everyone up. Shout out to Olivia getting the panelists up here, so everyone showed up. So that's great. Habib was just being Habib, so shout out to Habib. We have Nikita, that's really been the glue and holding everything together. Shout out to Nikita. Well, Mel is also on the executive team that has been making sure that we follow the proper guideline of doing everything and making sure everybody feels welcome. So shout out to Mel as well. Shout out to Malcolm, that's somewhere there up in the sky, shining with his bald head. He couldn't make it out today due to some personal reasons, but shout out to Malcolm. Whenever you see him on campus, he's easy to recognize. All right, so big up Malcolm. Am I missing anyone? Denise. Okay, yeah, Denise. Sorry. So shout out Denise. one that got everything in charge and put everything together. So big up, brother! And you know, Anson is here to help us out with the media. So